Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act on May 28, 1930. This removal process became known as the Trail of Tears and had a huge impact on the growth of America. It removed thousands of native Indians west of the Mississippi River. The Indian Removal Act freed up land to be farmed and the most important cash crops in the Deep South. The tribes on the Trail of Tears were described as civilized tribes because they had largely agreed to live peacefully alongside European settlers and had adopted settler culture and have helped with coexistence. That the government forcibly removed them afterward led to the biting lack of trust between the tribes and the U.S., and subsequent laws, from the Dawes Act, which led to massive acquisition of native lands by European speculators, though the termination of the reservations of the 1960s had ensured that alienation is still felt today. The Battle of Baltimore began September 12, 1814. For 25 hours, as lightning flashed and rain fell, the British bombarded the fort, firing between 1,500 and 1,800 rounds, but causing only 4 deaths and leaving 24 wounded. Major George Armistead and 1,000 Patriot defenders fired back with their cannons when the British ship sailed within range. Realizing the attack had failed, the British sailed downward to the north to retrieve the retreating soldiers. The Battle of Baltimore was over. It was the most dangerous period following the war for independence as Patriots faced and defeated a vengeful foreign power on American shores. The War of 1812 had been called the Second War of Independence because it forged national character and demonstrated the Americans could unite not only to win liberty, but to keep it. After the war, the young flag with 15 stars and broad stripes waved in defiance. The courage Francis Scott Key witnessed inspired him to write the words sung today as a national anthem. Fort McHenry, home of the Star-Spangled Banner, still flies on the 15-star flag every hour of the day above its ramparts. The impact of the battle gave a huge moral boost to the newly founded United States of America. On June 5, 1933, the United States went off the gold standard, a momentary system in which the currency is backed by gold, when Congress enacted a joint resolution nullifying the right of creditors to demand payment in gold. The United States had been a gold standard since 1879, except for the embargo on gold exports during World War I. But bank failures during the Great Depression of the 1930s frightened the public into hoarding gold, making the policy untenable. Soon after taking office in March 1933, Roosevelt declared a nationwide bank moratorium in order to prevent a run on the banks by consumers lacking confidence in the economy. He also forbade banks to pay out gold or to export it. According to Keynesian economic theory, one of the best ways to fight off an economic downturn is to inflate the money supply, and increasing the amount of gold held by Federal Reserve would turn an increase in power to inflate the money supply. Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4, 1968. King had led the civil rights movement since the mid-1950s, using a combination of powerful words and nonviolent tactics such as sit-ins, boycotts, and protest marches, including the massive march on Washington in 1963, to fight the segregation and achieve significant civil and voting rights advances for African Americans. His assassination led to the outpouring of anger among Black Americans, as well as a period of national mourning that helped the speedway of equal housing bill that would be the last significant legislative achievement of the civil rights era. King was standing on a second-floor balcony on Lorraine Motel, where he was assassinated or staying, when a sniper's bullet struck him in the neck. He was rushed to a hospital where he was pronounced dead about an hour later at age 39. Shortly after, on April 11th, Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1968, also known as the Fair Housing Act, to support the legacy of MLK. John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22, 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald. He was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, where he was hit by a sniper. There were some social and political impacts on his assassination. Among Americans, generally, there was a loss of confidence in the nation and its institutions. In the 2 decades before the Kennedy's assassinations, pollsters generally found great confidence in presidents and major institutions, the prime exception being when the Korean became stalemated in 1951. This was not unreasonable. The United States had won World War II, and unexpectedly, the nation experienced an economic boom in the post years. America in the next years after 1963 were more inclined to become disillusioned with their leaders. The next two presidents were an effort forced out of office, Johnson by Vietnam and Richard Nixon by Watergate.
Can you